relationships.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I got to get in the mud. I got to feel it. I'm not feeling it, y'all. Okay.
Talk to
And
me.
have you listened to the podcast yet?
Yeah.
This is like, hold on a second. My earphones are, hold on a second. There we go. My earphones are falling out.
Where are my earphones?
Yeah, well, you're not in the studio. You don't get all this special equipment. Well, if we were in here, we wouldn't have earphones, would we? Okay. I got to make sure my hair looks good. I don't have any girls in here to help me out, but that's all right. All right, so everybody, we thanks for listening to the Jerry podcast today. Oh my God, like see, there we go.
Blooper
I'm gonna
report.
figure this out eventually after about 100 of these. Then I'll know what I'm doing. All right, so it's the Jerry Metcalf podcast. Today we've got Robert Barstow, who works with me in Atlanta, Georgia. He's been in the business barely a year and already does $1 million and multi-million dollar transactions. So really excited to have you with us today, Robert, to talk about what you're doing and what we're doing and how you're so successful in the business so quickly. Robert, fill in the blanks a little bit there and just tell us about yourself and how you got in the business and give us a little bit of your story of breaking into this business so quickly.
Absolutely. Jared, thank you for the wonderful introduction. That's more than gracious. So basically, when I got started after college in my career experience, I started off in a sales role as an inside sales role through a company called Whitehead Associates, and there I really found a love for sales. But I did want to be more face-to-face interaction with the actual customer. So I gained a great relationship with people over the phone who I'd never even met, and kind of went from there and just forming relationships. And I knew that that was something I wanted to do moving forward in my career. Also, was really trying to focus on a product line that I would enjoy selling. And I was born and raised here in Atlanta. Grew up all in the two areas that, really three areas that Jerry and I cover the most, which is Buckhead, Brookhaven, and Morningside. And took it from there. And it just so happened my last job was a block away from the Georgia Institute of Real Estate. So I would take night classes there and came through after about, I think, 3 months there and got my license. And before I even got my license affiliated with a brokerage firm, I had a listing. So I had to hurry up and do that quick. And it's just kind of snowballed into what it is today, and I really enjoy every day. And every day is different. The experience is phenomenal. The people are just what make this so rewarding.
So everybody listening to this probably wants to know, including me, how did you get a listing before you even were signed up with the brokerage?
So I rented a house with a couple guys, and we were planning on renewing the contract actually, and they reached out to us, and we countered back with an offer, said, hey, we'd like to still stay here and pay the same price, and they said that they had no intention of relisting with us, that they were going to sell the house. It was an investment property for them, so we talked a little bit more, and I told them I had my license, which I did, and I told them that I would be honored to represent them.
That's
So
great. So did you have to interview, or did they? I think they just knew you well enough and they were familiar with you enough that they hired you, or how did that go down?
I did. I had a very intense interviewing process, and I actually competed with probably the top agent in the area at the time, and I I shined, I guess.
So,
I don't
and
know.
I was going to say, did you find out what made you shine? That's a great story because you competed with the best of the best, and you still got the business. What do you think it was that put you over the top? Because I don't. You and I have worked together, but I always say when you're competing with somebody who appears to be a mega agent with a big name, often you have the advantage, but you don't realize it. Otherwise, they're only interviewing the big names as a default mechanism as well. It's hard to go wrong this way, but I'd really like to get somebody specifically for me, which is why they would interview, someone that isn't that big name yet like yourself. But what do you think it was? I know you well. I can see how you would have listened to them and really figured out what it was that they needed and been able to establish how you provide that for them. But elaborate on that. Was that a little bit of it, or am I off on that? And what was it?
No, yeah. So just to elaborate on that, I was very upfront with them about how this, I was new to real estate and this was, one of my first deals. But at the same time, I mentioned the fact that I had so much value in project management skills. I really, the house did need some work, so we did about $15,000 worth of work to maximize the profits for them. So the other realtor quoted the house. She thought that it could list for $479,000, and felt that we could get 625 for it with a little bit of work.
Wow.
So after it was all said and done, the house closed at 612,500. So I thought
That's
that.
huge. That's a
So
huge success story just to start.
yeah, just a small investment in the home really made a significant change in the long run. So
And you were able, even being a brand new agent, you were able to establish that and know that. And that comes from us all remembering that even whether it's you're getting in the business or even when you've been in the business, remembering our strengths don't just come from our experience in the business, but our life experience outside of that, which is,
absolutely.
yeah,
And I mean,
that's,
it's an area I grew up in. I knew the area well. I've tracked it in the past, and I told him straight up. I said, if you were listing this house for 479, I would buy it from you. So I felt we could get it much higher, and we
that's
did.
huge.
So.
And I think a lot of agents we get criticized for listing houses and saying, inflating prices, and you were able to establish that's not what you were doing and own up to it and close on that. And that's huge. And I'm sure that was a great way to kick off your business. And you've been in the business how long, how many months now? I mean, a little over a year, is it?
So I'm a little over a year and a half, I'd say.
Okay.
More, I haven't counted exactly, but I came, I believe it was the end of August 2015.
Okay.
So
And I think right now, how many million, you have about 5 million under contract, is it? And that's just so far in 2017, a couple of months into the year.
I've got a little over 7 million under contract
Okay.
right now, um, and I've closed about, I think, just shy of 4 million. So,
That's huge.
but
Yeah.
by the end of March, I'll have all pending offers closed. So,
Okay. Great. Great. So kicking off a great year for our team. And
uh,
what I've got a lot of thoughts on this, but I want you to answer these questions on what is your greatest success so far, and what are you most proud of so far in being a real estate agent in your first year and a half of being in the business? You've
I
had
would say,
so many. I mean, that one story alone it's not a huge price point, but it's a huge success.
oh, definitely. And I mean, I don't know if I would put it as far as like success as a like a price value, but
Mm-hmm.
more so that I just felt like I found a really good niche here at Atlanta Fine Homes, and especially with you, Jerry.
Mm-hmm.
I think we really have something special going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's probably above all the success. The clients are amazing, the price points are amazing, but I mean, above all, it's really who you're dealing with, where you're dealing with it on a daily basis, and I couldn't be happier where I am now, and I think that's a success.
Well, I love that you say that because I think so much is in Isaac and Whitney, who work with our media company or head our media company that help us with so much of our marketing. We were talking about that about this money. I mean, this business does pay well, but at some point, what's the money worth if you're not around good people and you're not enjoying who you're working with, and you're not just our clients that are so great, but also our team and the people that we're aligning ourselves with. Um, and what is do you have any one source of business, or what would you say is your best source of business or best lead generator in developing all this business so quickly?
I would say that just getting people out there knowing that you're in the business. And I've had referrals come from some sources that I never would have expected a million
Mm,
years to come from. And, some of my best friends haven't referred me. So, it's a matter of where you are. And I think as many people in your sphere that know that you're in the business and you're actively working and you're actively doing deals and making stuff happen for clients, the more people that can see that, then the more it kind of speaks for itself.
well, it's like that saying, it's a kind of a cliche saying in our business, but don't be a secret agent. Don't be afraid to let people know. And do you have any examples, especially, I mean, for me, I've been doing this for 13 or 14 years. Of course, I'm going to stop keeping count soon, but it's a habit. So I'd love to hear from you as somebody who's, for me, I find myself introduced, I subconsciously fit it into every conversation I have. And for you, you're newer in the business. How have you been so successful at, or a lot of this comes naturally to you, but you are very smart and you have a very natural way with people. Even when you're selling, you position yourself very well that people don't feel that way. Or what are some examples that you could give us of how you figured out how to, I'm taking a long time to ask this, but I want to make the point that I find a lot of people who are new in the business don't know how to put it out there that they're an agent without feeling awkward or without feeling like they're imposing upon people that they have to get a referral. And you've obviously are very good at getting the word out on that. What are a few examples of how you've done that?
Sure. Well, for starters, I think the company resources that we have here at Atlanta Fine Homes, the resort emails, the marketing department we use for all sorts of, just excellent marketing pieces. Facebook's only something I really started doing about a year ago. And I created a page, and I think it was like 1 in the morning when I had it all done, and how I wanted it, and then I sent out an invite to everybody. But it was at 1 in the morning, and by the time somebody sees it, maybe noon the next day, it's kind of already down in their feed. So I didn't get a lot of likes at first. So I've really been trying to amp up my likes there on my page, where I've gotten it to a point where I'm very happy with it, and people are seeing it, and it's worth the money to pay to advertise on it. So.
And also, well, go ahead. No, what were you going to say? Oh, and also, like, when you meet people one-on-one, and I know we've all heard about certain training programs where there's the, oh, by the way, we're never too busy for your referrals. What is your way? Because that's become kind of we can't do that anymore because everybody does it, and and when you're dealing with people, you're a 27-year-old selling houses for millions of dollars already. You got to be a little more sophisticated with it than that. So give us some examples, and some of this may come to you too naturally, but to give us some examples, being newer, you probably could think of some of how you've been able to do that.
Sure. Well, I can't give away all my secrets, but I do.
Oh, now we see.
No, my sales approach probably isn't salesy.
Exactly.
I try to be very genuine with all my clients, my friends, my family. Anybody that I interact with, I really like to spend a lot of one-on-one time with people, and I think above all of that, people appreciate that. And no matter who you're talking to, whether it's a longtime friend or somebody you just met, it's going to come up what you do. So, I tell them a little bit about what I do and how I've helped people, and chances are I know somebody through somebody that they know about looking for houses and that sort of thing. And typically, I don't push it, but a lot of times they'll say, well, hey, I'm really impressed with what you're saying here. Let me give you this contact. So and so is looking for a house, or my aunt's looking for a house, and they don't all develop, but I typically send them a note afterwards, and just a $5 Starbucks card saying, get your next coffee on me. I appreciate you thinking about me. So
exactly. Well, there's two things. Well, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I just think as genuine as you can be, and I just try to be very, come across as very trustworthy, and just somebody that's willing to do the hard work for you.
Well, I think what I hear you saying, if I were going to sit down and write a blog on what we just said, was there's three things. There's competence, and then there's authenticity, and there's consistency and follow through. You've got to be competent. You're good at what you do, and you stay good. You stay on the market. You're authentic with everybody that you work with, so everyone knows you've got someone competent who's going to be authentic that they can then trust. And then you're consistent in your follow through. I mean, we get so many leads, and you get a lead and you follow through, and you're consistent, authentic, and competent in doing that. So I think that's huge. And the fact in that is it's our business is such a simple business. We've got to just show up and deliver on it and offer that value. Go ahead. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, people have a large amount of people to pick from in this business,
Yes.
and they go with the one that is going to work the hardest for them.
And spend that, well, and you said something else, spend the time. I think there's I feel like in our industry, there's almost two different ways to do business. There's kind of which there's nothing wrong with either one, so I don't want to come across the wrong way in saying this, but there is more of the streamlined, lower price point. You fit them through a system and a streamline, and it's kind of like McDonald's has a streamline, and it's the same exact thing every time, and you know what you're going to experience. But then there's the other end of that where it's the more Ritz-Carlton, where as you get in the higher price points, which is what you've automatically attracted in this business in your first year and a half, but that is what you're saying. It's the authenticity, it's the time that you're spending with them, and a deeper level of competence that you've got in those price points that those clients need, and they also need your time, which you're able to provide more of than the agents who are your competition, who've been in the business so much longer. So I think that's huge. And my next question, I don't ask this often, but I'm feeling very compelled to ask you, is what does the company and the broker you matter? I'm going to read what I've written down here because I've got some notes I go off of. But does the company and broker you work with matter, and why, and how important is it?
I think it's very important, and I know that they would be pleased for me to say that, but I really do think it is important. There's been, I could at least count on two hands the amount of deals or the amount of referrals that have come through where the sole reason I'm really a contender is because I'm with Atlanta Fine Homes, Sotheby's. I mean, say if I was an agent on my own with my own brokerage, starting a year and a half and some change in the business, having my own name on my own brokerage, probably not going to get a lot of business, but there really is a substantial power behind this brand. And